Hello, Gary Champion, Psychic Medium, once again with predictions beginning with 2023 and going out long term. Some of these are easy, but as I was sitting around the other day, a bunch of them just started coming, and some of them are simple and some of them are very complex. So, and I've said this one a couple of times before, or I should say, here we go. I don't know if you follow my track record. No one does. People predict stuff. No one goes back to check to see if they're accurate or not. But my accuracy rate's pretty damn high. Okay, here we go. For some reason, I've been hearing for a long time we have a recession-proof economy. I don't think that's totally true. In other words, it's not a total collapse. Everything will just sort of wind down, and but not destructive in a way that it could be. Someone said babies galore. Maybe millennials are tired of sitting around not having babies. They're going to step up to the plate. It's a pretty good group of people, intelligent. I've talked to a bunch of them. They just sit on the fence. Maybe this is where they get off the fence. And there's a series of things: setbacks, closing down, standstill. A lot of these companies are going to whack jobs. They're going to close stores. They're going to, in order to survive. They're not doing it in a vindictive way. They have to do it to survive. Otherwise, their bottom line will. A lot of these companies are running deficits now. The only way they can see to get out is to close down stores and fire people. Sorry about that. The only really good job for the next couple of years is repos, because people are going to default on everything. Collection agencies, someone's saying, collection agencies are going to be very big. And their government is going to hire a lot of agents to pursue money not declared, off the books. Everything from gambling to tips for waitresses. They already are, but not to the point that they're going to, because they see this as a big way to make up some of the money they spent. Cutbacks, more tension between the have and have nots, like it's already at a boiling point. And there's a reason why all these murders, they don't happen on my street. They happen down over there where things are poor. That's where it's boiling over. So if they were up here shooting people, there'd be 50 policemen out there with machine guns. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but policemen are hired to protect the country and mostly the economy, whether they know it or not. You get too many shootings on the street, the stores close down, they don't pay taxes, and the coffers are empty. See, so it's all, I mean, of course, preserving lives and everything, but you can't have total chaos. So that's why some areas they clamp down on it, and other areas they don't, because it's not an economic thing in some areas. Anyway, giving arms to the Ukraine will boost production in U.S. arms factories. Already is. They're saying that we've given too many whatevers to them, and now we've got to restock, and there'll be global things going on with replenishing. Of as we replenish, we give. We replenish, we give. Russia is going to be defeated in this war. You heard it first here. Crimea is going to go too. They don't have the will to fight. Part of it is, World War II, they were fighting for Mother Russia. Those Nazis they keep talking about being in Ukraine. No, they never have been there. They were in Germany, Nazi Germany. But they're going to lose. They're going to lose this, and they're going to lose the Crimea too. Now, here's a far-reaching kind of not so good one. Russia's bankrupt. We're not giving them money, and we blocked world banks from giving them money. We won't let them sell their oil. When Putin is out of the way, China will dominate in Russia. China will be the bank for Russia. They'll control all loans, money going in and out, stores what they can sell and not sell through an indirect route. Russia won't have any choice. They'll say, we'll loan you the money if you'll do this, if you'll spy for us, if you'll watch those nasty Americans. So spy satellites, I believe, will be launched from Russia, which are not Russian, they're Chinese. Um, Trying to turn Russia into a collection agency of information to pass on to them. Russia defeated, loses Crimea too. China will dominate in Russia. They don't want Russia. They're really different people. What they want to do is to use it to dominate other things. Information. Information is more important than money. And if they can use Russian stuff to gain information about American stuff, spies galore, someone's saying. Spies galore. Like babies galore, spies galore. A lot of spies coming out of there to, you see, they can use their diplomatic people to, anyway. When the time of Putin ends, closely followed behind that, because they're already preparing for it, China will rush in and fill that void politically. Oligarchs in Russia that scattered like rats when they started losing the war, they got on their mega yachts, and so we've collected a lot of those yachts and sold them to pay money. They will relocate. France is a big place they're going to relocate because money is money, and there's no money in Russia. And some of them are going to be on a hit list by leftover Putin cronies, which are leftover KGB from the Cold War. These people have been around a long time. They never let go. The people they trained are now doing it now. So they want to act like we're not KGB. They have another name for the KGB now. I remember it as KGB, but there's some other benign sort of a bunch of initials. It's KGB. Sorry, you're not fooling anybody. You know, just because a country or a person like Putin says, no, we're not doing that, that definitely probably means they are doing it. Anyway, there'll be a big void, a power void. Because right now, Putin controls everything, but oligarchs that have been in the country on oil and all their resources, they've taken their money with them. And they'll start up again someplace else. They're saying France and Spain and countries like that are going to get a bunch of them. And they'll welcome them with open arms. They won't prosecute them. Why? Because they bring like $30 billion with them. Boosts the economy. Isn't it funny? It all comes down to money. But that void will be filled quickly before other political rivals of Putin can slide in there and take the reins and say, okay, boys, we're okay now. Okay, let's say that does happen. Let's say Putin's cronies just move over one seat and take his place. They're broke. They're bankrupt. They can't borrow money. They're looking to China. China has not wanted to have anything to do with them for fear of antagonizing these countries that have put an embargo on everything. China has to sell products worldwide. And if you antagonize the people you're selling to, they'll stop buying your stuff. They'll slip embargoes on it and or tax it so high that you can't sell it. So trying to appease NATO countries, they'll act like they're not involved. The truth is, however, something entirely different. Russia will be controlled by China. Russia, see, I've said it now. Russia will be controlled by China. In a very short vacuum there. Putin's lost the war. He's going to lose the Crimea. There's no place for him to go. I think he'll escape to someplace. And at some point, he'll be killed for his efforts. Or he has a heart problem, someone's saying. He needs a heart monitor. He's acting like he's a Russian bear. Really, he's just a little short guy. Anyway, he has issues. That's the thing about these bad guys. Eventually, they just die, and then there's a problem. Well, here, there's going to be a power struggle. In order for Russia to survive and heat their homes and sell those crappy cars they make, they need money. Keep the factories running to keep the people from revolting as they did in 1917. That's when the Tsar was running things. They killed his whole family. To keep them from revolting, they're going to have to appease them with goods, refrigerators, washing machines, cars, which is what everybody seems to want. Phones at work, not this yak black thing that is no good. They'll want iPhones and good Droid phones. And if they're out back in their backyard flying their little drones around their neighborhood, they'll be happy. So in order to appease these people, they're going to have to crank up production. Or to do that, they're going to have to borrow money. The world's not going to loan them money because they've ruined the world economy in the area in which they operate. And they fear them coming back in similar fashion. If you give them money, that's exactly what somebody will do. So they're going to turn to China. They're going to borrow large amounts of money there with no hope of repaying it. China will loan them money, knowing they have no hope of replacing it or paying it back, because it benefits them to do so in the short term. And of course, at some point, they'll use those loans that they give them to really solidify their running of the country. So oligarchs are going to escape Russia. It's really not an American thing. They're too far from their money and their people. They don't want to be thousands of miles away. They want to be 100 miles away. So Germany, France, Great Britain, this is where, and oligarchs are going to shed all the things that make them look like oligarchs, like $5 billion yachts. They'll sell them at auction or whatever they can get for them, and they'll consolidate their money in banks all around the world. No one will be able to trace it, and yet they'll set up in France. They'll begin to operate just like they did, only controlling France's crap instead of Russia's crap. They'll buy up a lot of stock in something that they're interested in, and they'll just run it like the mafia. That's far-reaching. It goes on for years and years, decades. I don't know why they're showing me that. I have no clue, but that's what I'm getting. And bodies found in forests. So after this is all over, there'll be a lot of thousands and thousands of bodies found, shallow graves in forest. They're showing me it's similar to the Civil War, where there were a lot of battles, and 5,000 people died in one day, and they just put a few inches of dirt over them, and years later the bones come through. And then they had to go in and collect the bones and try and bury them properly. That's kind of what we're looking at. Identification will be impossible except through DNA. They took everything off them of any value, usually shot in the head or the back or both, and buried them. I don't know who. I don't know whether it's Ukrainians. A lot of it is Russian mercenaries that aren't regular Russians. They're being paid to be there with what I don't know. That's the thing about Russia. They're on paper, they're in the hole, and yet there's cash around. So they're not being totally honest. I guess no country's ever totally honest with its bookkeeping. So the Chinese are going to politically take over and control Russia without declaring it, although anybody in Russia will see it. They'll be selling dumping products there with Chinese things on them. They'll be getting Russia to manufacture chips and things that they want and not declaring them as theirs. They'll leave them, and someone's saying duty free. So they can manufacture them, slip them over to China, and they'll put them into rockets and planes and whatever, radios, whatever they put them into. Radios don't really exist anymore, do they? No one carries around a radio like they did when I was a kid. Everybody had a radio stuck to their ear. I think that's. I mean, I made a lot of notes here. This is stuff I see now for the near future and the far future. And as you know, predictions are kind of notoriously wonky. One person make a decision to do something else, and the whole landscape changes. But Putin will not be in control of anything. If he is, he'll be controlled by Chinese. What China will look for is a yes man. We're going to loan you money and get your economy up and going, and we'll talk to the Americans about these. Since you've given back the Crimea and pulled out of Estonia, whether we can get those lifted, and you can sell your oil worldwide, and of course China will take the money. Kind of interesting, isn't it? To kind of own a country without really owning a country. On paper, it looks like Russia, but in the truth, it's not. Russia's been on a long decline for a long time. Russia used to be many countries, USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and one by one they pulled away. Czech Republic used to be Czechoslovakia, now it's Slovakia and Czech Republic, Estonia, Ukraine, Crimea. All these countries used to be separate. I mean, used to be under one banner of the United Socialist Republic, whatever, and now they're individual countries. A long decline, someone's saying very loudly. It's a long decline, but you can't make people do things for a period of time that they just don't want to do. Their country has never produced anything. The wall came down in the 80s, I think 1980 maybe, proving they couldn't even hold a wall up in Berlin. Berlin became one city again, and it's prospered ever since. They're not funny people. There are no German comedians. Germany is a serious country, and given serious tasks, they usually get them done. So they're an overcomplicated country. Everything needs 16, got to have 16 parts, can't have four, which is in America, we'd have four parts and make it run fine. In their country, it needs 16 or 32 or 84. Just, as long as it's running, it runs well, but when you have a complication, everything goes to crap. And at high expense to repair, like the cars are like that. Jets, everything, it's made highly complicated because their minds work that way. Anyway, I'm at the end of my predictions video here. I hope you enjoy it. Um, I don't know, there'll be other things to come. Once 2023 gets here, I should have some new predictions, but right now that's what I see. And the big one here is that Russia is going to be defeated. Crimea is going back to be in the Crimea with some limitations. And Russia will be controlled by China. Isn't that interesting? I could tell some stories, but I'm not going to. No fear, no regret, no anger. Thanks for watching.